What can you guys take away from last week, just for these last 3 games, the way the defense played?
Yeah, I would say definitely last week defensively we've taken steps in the right direction. Obviously the the end result wasn't what we wanted, but I feel like defensively we played one of our better games, throughout the season. I feel like everybody just, was doing their job, wasn't trying to do too much, and we played well together. Communication was good, so we just gotta continue to build off of that.
Well, do you care if you make the Pro Bowl or not?
Me personally, it's always, a personal goal to make the Pro Bowl. You know what I mean? That's one of my personal goals every year. If it comes, it comes. If it doesn't, it doesn't. You know what I'm saying? I just try to work every single week to be the best version of myself for my team to win, and hopefully that shows on tape. And if it gets recognized, great. If it doesn't, what can I do?
A lot of folks around here describe you as consistent with everything that you do. What does that mean to you? What does consistency mean to you?
I think that's one of the most ultimate compliments I can get, because that's what I strive to be. I'm a consistent player, continuing to be a consistent player to play at a high level for my team, and everything that I do, it's my routine, everything that it is. Whether we're winning or losing, I'm gonna consistently do my part, you know what I mean? My thing is leaving no stone unturned, and I'm gonna do everything throughout the week, for my body, mentally, whatever it is, to give myself the edge and give to help my team succeed. So that's the way I go about it every single week, and I would say it's probably one of the ultimate compliments I could get as a player and as a teammate.
As you've kind of grown in your career and played 8-9 years, how do you understand the impact that consistency that you show every day can have on younger guys this year with Latu and some of those guys in that room?
No, yeah, if they continue to see one of the leaders in the room, obviously I've been able to prove myself over the years as one of the top players in this league. So being able to see one of the top players in the league consistently doing his everything that he needs to do to get ready for Sundays, and it's working, and I'm consistently doing it on an everyday basis. Hopefully that he can get something out of my routine, or continue to develop that consistency himself to become the player that he wants to be.
I know you didn't play in the first matchup, but what kind of stands out to you about Tennessee?
Yeah, I would say they try to build an identity in running the ball. I feel like they're definitely better run blockers, and they're going to try and get it on the ground, especially with the troubles that we've had throughout the season. So they're definitely going to test us. So we got to do a really great job. Kind of like I said, building off the steps, the building blocks that we did last week, and stopping the run game. We got to continue to do that as a defense, and in this game we got to kind of make it a one-dimensional game.
What do you think sticks out about Kenny, just as a man off the field, to you in the time that you've known him?
Yeah, man, Kenny Moore. Talk about a guy that is selfless. You know what I'm saying? Not just on the field but off. He's always looking to give to the community, be a difference maker in the community, and I always love that about him. Watching as a teammate, as a friend. Being able to that's why I took some of the time a couple years ago, 2 years ago, when I found out about his camp. Going out there to Valdosta. Never been to South Georgia. So that was my first time out there, and being able to see the impact in his community that he's made has been awesome to see. So him being a nominee for the Walter Payton Man of the Year award, it's very fitting for him.
Well, Chris Ballard did an interview recently. He was talking about when Anthony was going through the benching and had this kind of come to Jesus meeting with the leadership council. And one of the things that he relayed in the interview was that you told Anthony, hey, I signed an extension for you, or in part because you're here and I believe in you. But you have to do your part as well. So what was that moment like for you, and why did you feel need to, one, encourage him and tell him I believe in you, but also there's a standard that has to be met?
Yeah, just him being a young player, it's, the stage that he's on, the pressure that he has, obviously I can't relate to that. I'm not a quarterback, but I can relate to it as a former first-round pick, being the team's first pick, having all these high expectations for the guy, and coming in and that type of pressure. But also, he is. mean, essentially, he's the franchise, he's a franchise quarterback. You know what I mean? He's the guy that they brought in to be the guy, to lead this team, this city to wins. And I just felt like I needed to speak up and tell him how I felt, and that, even though he was benched, that I still believe in him. We all still believe in him. He needs to know that, especially as a young player, but also that the standard wasn't being met, and that he needs to pick it up. And I feel like he responded really well to that, and he he's shown the team on a consistent basis since then. I mean, that he's all in for the team. He'll do whatever it takes, you know what I'm saying, for the team to get these wins and to be the best player that he can be. And I've been very proud of him for, everything that he's done so far, and just the way he responded, really. That's the biggest thing. A lot of guys say they want to be great. And, when you get criticism from your peers or from coaches, some young guys tend to, get defensive and little things like that. But, I mean, he took it and he ran with it, and, he learned from it and he grew from it. So, I'm proud of him and his growth that he's, come so far.
Do you do that often? Like pull a young guy aside and say, "Hey, look, this is how we do stuff here."
Yeah, no, for sure. I mean, if I see it, I'm gonna let the guy know. You know what I mean? I mean, it's not, sometimes things can't be, fixed or changed until somebody tells them something. You know what I mean? That they're doing something wrong, and especially in our room, in the D-line room, we have a high standard in that room, and we know when a standard's not being met, we call each other out and we call guys out, and it's not just me, it's the other leaders in the room like Taquan and Grover, you know what I'm saying, that helped me with that, and we continue to do that throughout, the team, and so you could definitely count on me on calling out bullshit.
Is everyone's staying positive and upbeat that, if you guys win out, there's still definitely scenarios that have you guys landing in the playoffs? Has the vibe still been really good and upbeat and positive?
No, definitely. But at the end of the day, I mean, you can't hope for other people, you can't keep hoping on, other people to get ourselves in, you know what I'm saying? We got to help ourselves. And that's handling business this week against the Titans, and then next week with the Giants, and the week after, finishing off with the Jags. So we got to take it 1 week at a time and, do our part. And at the end of the season, however may it shakes out, you know what I mean, with a little bit of hope and a little bit of help, maybe it does work out. But at the end of the day, we have to do our part first.
You've been here for a number of years now in Indianapolis. What do you think about your time here and where the franchise is headed, and I guess what you expected when you came here versus what you've experienced?
No, yeah. When I got here, obviously, I mean, I expected to be able to compete, with the rest of the league and getting into the playoffs, and that happened my first year here. And obviously, it's been a while since we've been back, since 2020, and but it's hard because we do see the talent. The team that we have, and the moments that we do look like a great team, and then obviously there's moments where it's like, man, what happened? You know what I'm saying? And it's the consistency, man. It's the consistency and the execution part on all of our part. You know what I mean? And we have to continue to hammer it out and figure it out, because before you know it, it's going to just, slip away just like that. And so I want to make sure, before my time's done here, that, we leave our mark on this franchise. So that's my goal.
Ryan, last one. We were talking to Ryan Kelly yesterday. He mentioned 10 years was kind of always a big goal of his in terms of playing. Have you ever had a longevity goal of how many years that you want to get to in the league?
Oh yeah, that's kind of the same thing. 10 years. It's definitely a big goal of mine, and and every year after that, obviously, is that's bonus. You know what I'm saying? And I feel like I've been lucky throughout my career and being able to, with the longevity of my career, being able to stay healthy for majority of it, and I just want to continue to play until I don't love the game anymore. But I told my wife, the day I come home and it looks like I don't love the game, then tell me to stay home. So, but that day is definitely far from now.
You didn't play in the first matchup, but what stands out to you about what Tennessee's got?
They're a physical group. They're going to play hard all 4 quarters. And, of course, a divisional opponent. So that's just adds fuel to the fire. But just from previous experiences, they're definitely a physical group. So it's going to be a physical matchup. So you got to make sure you come with that mentality this Sunday.
When you face a division rival and their season hasn't gone, the way they expected to, are they a little more dangerous in some ways because they just kind of want to ruin whatever they can for anyone else?
I was going to say for sure, and definitely that's the opportunity, when you can play spoiler, and it kind of makes you go a little harder. I feel like because they want to have someone else have that bad taste in their mouth. So we just got to understand that we still have some things in front of us, and we just can't play down to a certain level. We have to raise our standards. We got to play to a high standard because there's still a lot left out there.
JT, has anyone reached out to you since the play happened on Sunday that's offered advice, encouragement, anything on that end that's particularly resonated with you?
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, there are a ton of people.
How have you processed it since Sunday?
I mean, the same thing as any bad play on Sunday. You got to be able to move on to the next.
How long do you give yourself to feel anything like that? Is it just like, okay, when I leave the locker room, it's got to be done, or just realistically, does it linger a little bit longer?
Oh, of course, something like that will linger a little bit longer. Of course, you got to go through the film, and then that'll relive it. And then after that, you kind of got to take those corrections and then move on to the next week.
Jonathan, with that being said, it wasn't just that play last week. How important is it for the team to flush everything that happened and not let it linger into this week? Because anything can happen on Sunday too.
Yeah, like you mentioned, it's still things out there for us. There are some teams that for the past couple weeks have not had things to play for. So I think that's the biggest thing and the biggest message that we understand and that we're feeling right now is that there's still things out there for us. So we got to continue to go out there. We got to continue to play hard. We got to continue to go and try to win games.
Is that moment and just the way the game went down, does it maybe add fuel to you, like the next opportunity you get to, win a game or get to the playoffs? Like, do you think can it make you stronger in the long run?
It definitely will. I mean, I'm not the type that gets motivated off of certain things. I feel like if you're not already motivated intrinsically to want to be the best player, to make big plays, I just think it's going to be tough this league is going to be tough for you if you're not just intrinsically motivated.
Does 1,000 yards mean a lot to you?
For sure. I mean, that's definitely tough to come by. That's like, you don't just get 1,000 yards in the National Football League.
When you went back and watched the play, was there any explanation that you've kind of found of like why the ball fell out of your hands like that? Oh
yeah, for sure. Bad plays happen, and you got to make sure it's how you respond.
JT, how much do you? I mean, obviously this moment is tough, but you want that pressure. You want to be in the NFL. You want all those things. So, what is it like to embrace all that comes with it? Because it's not going to always be, highs or lows.
Yeah, like you mentioned, that's what comes with it. If you ask for this, if this is what you work for, then you got to take the highs and the lows. And I talked to my dad, and one thing that I mentioned was that you can't answer the phone for a call that happened yesterday. You can only pick up the next time. So you got to be ready for that next opportunity. You got to make sure that you learn, hey, I missed that call the last time, but I won't miss it again.
You mentioned it doesn't change your motivation, but is there any danger of pushing too hard, trying to make up for something? You have to be sure now that you can, approach it like you would any other game.
And like you mentioned, sometimes, trying to do too much is the ultimate team sport. Sometimes all you have to do is do your job, do it at a high level. So if you're just not intrinsically motivated to do your job every single play at a high level and you need other external factors in order to fuel you, I just think it's going to be tough to play in this league. I mean, I think everyone here in this league are competitors, and they just want to be the best in their respective positions. Shoot, guys want to be the best in the entire league.
Where does your intrinsic motivation come from? And I guess how early on did you know, like, okay, this is what pushes me?
Definitely going into college, coming from a small school and then going to a very, very large school. Like I said, my high school was super small. We had like 300 kids. Shout out to Salem City. But it's just understanding that, no one can want it more than you. And if that's the case, if someone wants something more than you, then you'll always be a step behind because you don't have that fire, that fuel within you.